What is going on, people? Today again from Ceasar Graphix. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. So this is what we're going to be working on today, and without any further ado, let's jump into today's tutorial. Okay, so let's create a new document. So I'm going to click on File and I'll select New. So next is to bring in my background. So I'm just going to drag that and drop like so. And next is to bring in the smoke image. So I'll drag that and drop also. So I'll make a copy of this and I'll hit the Ctrl T or Command T for Mac users. Now I'm going to mesh the two layers. So I'm going to hit Ctrl E on my keyboard. I'll double click on this and call this smoke. Then I'm going to zoom in and I'll add a layer mask. Then I'll select the brush tool. I'll make sure this is my foreground is set to black. Then I'm just going to brush here. Now as you can see, I'm having this line here which I don't want. So what I'm just going to do is to select the layer of the smoke. So I'm going to select the spot healing tool and I'll click here and I'll hold down shift and click again to create that straight spot healing effect. And I'm just going to come here and I'm going to brush. And I'm going to do the same thing again. I'll make a copy of it and I'm just going to drag that somewhere here. Select the brush tool again and I'm just going to brush like I did previously. Next, I'll bring in the cloud. So I'm just going to drag that and drop like so. I'll zoom out, hold on Alt and scale this big behind the road layer. So I'm going to give it a name. So I'm going to add a layer mask and I'll select the brush tool. I'm going to put all this in a group. So I'll hold on Shift, select all the layers and I hit Ctrl G on my keyboard to put them in a group. So I've hit the Ctrl T adjustment again and this up all this smoke is to select the curve adjustment and I'm just going to push this up and click on this button to apply just only to that smoke layer. And I'm going to hit Ctrl I and then I'm going to select the brush tool, but this time I'm going to use white because white should be the opposite of black. So black hides what's on the layer while white make it visible. So I want some part of the smoke to be lighter like so, and I'm going to add another curve adjustment. I'm going to hit Ctrl I again. Then the next thing we are going to do is I'm going to go inside the layer of the smoke and I'm going to make a copy of this, and this should be outside of the group. And I'll hit Ctrl T on my keyboard and hold on Shift and rotate this. I'm going to select the brush tool with so I'm adjusting the size of my brush with the square brackets. So I'm just going to reduce this with the open square brackets and I'm going to switch this to black the way it is, and my flow should be, so I'm just going to brush like so. Bring in the picture of the car. So I'm just going to drag that and drop like so. And for this one, I'm going to just scale it down, move it somewhere around here, hit the enter key on my keyboard and move this below the layer of the smoke and push it in just a little bit. And I'm going to just hit the Ctrl T again for Windows users, and for Mac users it's Command T, and I'll right click and select the skew option here and just push this down a little bit, just like so. And I'll go back again and select the rotate option here, and I'll just rotate this to go up like so. Alright, now hit enter. Next is to hold down Ctrl and click on the thumbnail of that car layer. I'm going to call it car. Next, I'm going to just add a new layer, and I'll call this car. That's the car shadow, and I'm going to hit Alt backspace because I already have black as my foreground here, and I'll hit Ctrl D to deselect the marquee. I'm going to hit Ctrl T to bring out the transform adjustment. Right click and select free transform. Hold down Shift and push this down like so, and I'm going to come out from the box of the transform adjustment, and I'm going to rotate this. So I'm using the up and down arrow key on my keyboard to adjust that. Add the mask, select the brush tool, and I'm just going to come here, zoom in, and I'm just going to brush. So go to the brush settings option, change this to the hard brush, reduce the size. I'm going to switch this, and I'm just going to add. Right, then I can even switch this. Just go to filter blur and apply Gaussian blur, and just make this don't add too much of this. All right, make a copy of this. I'll go to filter blur and I'll select motion blur. All right, now move this back like so. Select the brush tool. Make a copy of this. Just select the brush tool. We'll go to the layer of the car now. I'm going to select curve adjustment, push this down, and I'll hit the Ctrl I on my keyboard, and I'll say I only want this to apply to the car layer with that button that I clicked. Make sure this is set to white, and flow should be 2019 is fine. I'm just going to start brushing like so. So I'll make a layer again, and I'll call this black, and I'll select OK. So this should be in between the two layers, and I'll fill it with the color of my foreground, which is black, with backspace. I'm going to add a layer mask, and I'll hit the Ctrl I on my keyboard, and I'll reduce the strength of the opacity to somewhere around 16. So I'm going to change the color of the car by going to the adjustment panel here. I need to move this up so you guys can see my layer panel. So I'm just going to select the hue adjustment, and I'll check the colorize option here, and I will click on this button here to say I only want it to apply to the car layer. And the whole idea is to make the color of the car look similar to the color of the dust. So I'm going to move this to the yellow part. Okay, so this is more like it. Then I'm going to select the brush tool because I don't want it to apply to all the part of the car. So for the glass part, I'm just going to switch this to black. The flow should be set to 36, and I'm just going to take it out from the glasses. Okay, so you know what? I need to add this color to this to the tires. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'll switch back to white. All right. Change my flow to something around 26 is fine. I'll just add it because I actually want it to look like the dust um, from the ground is touching the wheels. Okay, and so let's add more depth to this by going to the curve adjustments. Then I'll apply, say it only apply to the car, and I'll just push this down like this. All right, so like this. Okay, so for the yellow parts, I need to add a little bit of yellow. So on the green channel, I'm just going to push that just a little bit, and I'll just brush this out. I'll do the same thing for this part. Brush it out. All right. Go to the cloud layer, make a copy of this. But before I do that, I need to put all this in a group. So I'll shift select all the car layers and hit the Ctrl G to put them in a group. And I'll call this. I'm trying to make my layer panel neat. So make this visible. Then select the move tool with the shortcut V, and I'll hit the Ctrl T adjustment and just position this. Set it. I'm just going to position this somewhere around here like so. Alright, and I'm going to select the brush tool, be on the layer max box. Alright, and I'm just going to brush, and I'm going to convert this one to a smart object just like so. Alright, and I'm going to make a copy of this again. Alright, and I'm going to just hit the Ctrl T and let's just do this like so. Go to web. I'm going to add the vector mask brush. This is the size of my brush, and I'm just going to switch to black, and this should be 100. Make a copy of this again. We need to rasterize this, so I'm just going to right click and select rasterize, hit the Ctrl T adjustment and select warp, enter, just like so. Select the three layers, hit the Ctrl T adjustment and just push this somewhere here. Bring in dust image from the exercise file, and I'm just going to scale that now. Rotate this, scale it, hit enter, and I'm going to position this behind all the dust layer. So I'm going to blend it this. I'm going to just double click on this. I'm going to move from here this side, and I'll click on Alt to break the wheels, and this should go in a little bit to this side, and this one should be here like so. All right, and I'll hit OK. So I'm going to add a layer mask, and I'll hit the brush tool, and I'm just going to brush to take out the part that I don't want. And next is to go to the curve adjustment, and I'll click on this button to say apply to just only that dust layer. I'm going to make a copy of it with Ctrl J. So I'm just going to shift select from the very last dust that I created, and then I'm going to hold the quick shift to select the first one, and I'm going to hit the Ctrl G to put it in a group, and I'll call this, to create a new layer, and I'll call this dodge, and I'll select the dodge blend mode here, and I'll click on fill with color dodge neutral, and I'll hit OK. Next is to hold down Alt and say apply to just only this layer, and I'll select the brush tool now, and I'm going to zoom in. Then the color I'm going to be using is going to be from here. All right, and I'll hit OK. So let's just brush and see what we have. So this is too strong. I'm just going to reduce the strength of my flow to something around let's say 13, and I'm just going to brush. Yeah, this is not bad, and I'm going to reduce the size of my brush. So one other thing I'm going to do is I can even push this down, Control I, adjustment, and switch this to black, reduce the flow. So one other thing I'm going to do again is to make a layer, call this make curve adjustments, and this should be on top of the car layer. Just say apply to only that layer, and I'll hit the Control I option here. All right, so what I'm trying to do is to make some part of the car brighter, just to look like, make it look like there's a light effect coming from this angle. So on top of the car layer, I'm going to make a copy. I'm going to make a new layer and call this light again, and I'll say okay. And this time I'm going to pick a color from here, and I'm just going to brush to the size of my flow, and I'm just going to brush here of that. I'm going to blend it with that layer. I only want it to apply to the darker part of the tire. All right, I can even do the same thing here. Let's see. So if I brush here like so, all right, next is to put everything in a group, make a copy of this. All right, hide this one, hit the control, right click on the group layer and say convert to smart object. So I'm going to hit the Control T adjustment. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw a macro selection like so, and hit Control J to make a copy of that layer. Hide this one, then hit the Control T adjustment, right click on it and select the warp option. All right, and I'm just going to put everything in a group. Hit the layer mask button here, select brush, put the size of the brush, and make sure this is set to black. So I'm going straight into the layer of that dust, and hold down Control Shift a layer, and hold this light, hit enter, and I'll fill this with white. This should be behind this one. All right, so let's see before and after. So use the eraser to, you know what, let's just move this above all layers and change this to, okay, let's change this to overlay, and this should go down just a little bit. I'm going to put the dust file in a new document so as to just take it out from the background. So what I'm going to do is to go to the channel, to look for the one with the high contrast, which is this. So I'm going to make a copy of this, and I'll hit the Control L on my keyboard, and I hit OK. So next is to hit the Control I on my keyboard, all right, and hold down Control and click on the thumbnail of that red copy layer. Control Shift I to invert the color. So click on the layer panel and double click on the background, hit OK, and hit Control J to make a copy of that layer. Sample a color, all right, from the edges, which is here, like this. Click on this button here to make a new layer, and I'm just going to say OK, and I'll fill this with the color like so. And the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to blend it with this. I'm going to double click on the layer. So what I'm trying to do is I only want this to apply to the darker part of that layer. So I'm going to move this to about this side like so, and I'll hold down Alt and just blend it just like so. All right, and I'll hit OK. So what I'm going to do is to merge all the two layers by selecting these two layers and with Shift and hit Control E on my keyboard. Then I'm going to move this to the document that I'm working on. Next, I'm going to right click and convert this to smart objects. Hit the Control T, the layer mask, select brush, brush tool, and hit Ctrl J. Then I'm going to just hit the Ctrl T. Then we can even put this in a group by selecting the two layer and then hit Ctrl G and call this dust. We need to darken this. All right, so I'm going to go to the curve adjustment. All right, so this is too out, so I'm going to, or maybe we should even take out that part. So, and this one should help by coming out like so. All right, this is not bad. I even like the fact that this one is coming out from here. So I'm going to add a curve adjustment on this, on the one above, by just clicking on the curve and then say apply to only that layer, and I'm just going to drag it down like so. And this time I only want it to apply to the darker part of the layer, so I'm just going to blend this again by double clicking on this, because I'm going to move this like this, break the handle, and I'm just going to say okay. And then we need to apply shadow under this dust. So to do that, I'm going to make this open the group folder, and I'm going to hold on Ctrl and Shift select all the, put these two layers in a group. So I'll call it dust. All right, so I'm going to play with the black D on my keyboard. I'm going to hit the razor tool, and I'm going to hit the Ctrl T. And next is to bring in that cloud again, which is this. Make a copy of this again. T. Enter, and this should be above the layer of the dust, which is somewhere here. Take it just a little bit, like so. I'm just going to brush the vector just to take out some part of the dust. Make a copy of this again. And this should be somewhere here, like so. All right, for this dust, some part of this, but this time I'm not going to use, I'm going to go to my brush settings, and for the hardness I'm just going to dial that up just a little bit, not too much, and I'm just going to brush, make a copy of this, and make some of it just come out like so. So for this one, I'm just going to brush this side a little bit more. Say this one, I'm just going to brush and then have some of it to the dust like so. Right, I'm thinking we should bring down the color of this, so I'm going to go to the dust layer and just pick the hue adjustment and just dial that down just a little bit. Then I'm going to add a curve adjustment, just going to dial this down to something around this size. All right, then I'm going to select the Ctrl I on my keyboard, select the brush tool. Make sure your floor is set to 15. And I'm just going to brush. I'm going to be adding the cloud filter to this. Then I'm going to call this hit OK. Then I'm going to fill it with black. Make sure your foreground is black and your background is white. And I'll go to render and select cloud right here. Cloud. And for this one, I'm just going to select soft light, and I'll add a layer mask, and I'm going to invert this, select the brush tool. Normally I'm supposed to cover this side. Alright, I'm going to make a copy of this. I'm just going to move this up to this point and select the brush tool. I'm gonna bring in this image. Alright, like so. And I hit Ctrl J, I click and rotate this 180 and push this down, hit enter. Alright, and for the two layers, I'm just going to select multiply. Right click, rasterize this, right click and rasterize this. Alright, so I'm going to merge the two layers by hitting Ctrl E. And I'll go to filter, blur, Gaussian blur. Just like so, and I hit OK. So I'll go to the blend mode and change this to multiply. I'm going to put this in a document like this, and I'll go to channel panel, and I'm just going to pick the one with the high contrast, which is blue, and I'll hit Ctrl L, like so, and I'm going to click OK. So I'm going to hold down Ctrl and click on the thumbnail of the blue copy, and I'll hit Ctrl Shift I to invert the color, and I'll go straight to the layer panel, double click on the background layer and hit OK and hit Ctrl J. So now we have those tones. Then I'm going to go straight to my documents. I'm going to right click on the layer and select convert to smart objects. And next is to just scale this down to the layer. This should be behind the dust layer, just like so. Alright, so I'm going to call this tones. I'm going to make a new layer. Pick the brush tool, this size of that brush, pick a color from this side. Alright, and I'm just going to randomly apply color. So I think for this I'm thinking of making this brighter again. So just to push this up, just to white and just brush. So, alright. So then so I'm gonna bring in this image again, and this should be above. Yes, and I'll choose the multiply option here. So I'll go to blur, radial blur. So I'll reduce the strength of the opacity. Then I'll add a layer mask. I'll select the brush tool. And I'm just going to make a copy of this again, the black with a backspace. And I'll hit X on my keyboard, and I'm just going to brush some parts of the side out. And then I'm going to let's see what else we need again. I think we should just make another. I'm going to make a copy of this, alright, and I'll move this above all the layers, and I'll fill it with black again with Ctrl backspace. So I'm going to hit Ctrl I on my keyboard to make the layer visible. Then next I'm going to hit Ctrl T to bring out the transform adjustment, and I'll make this big like so, and I'll hit enter. So I'm going to change the blend mode to linear light. Right, this is exactly the effect I'm looking for. So I'm just going to position this somewhere around here. I'm going to select the layer mask, and I'm going to hit Ctrl I. I'll select the brush tool, and I'm just going to brush. I need to reduce the opacity of this, it's too strong. So before I merge visible of all the layers, I need to add more of particles, all right, to the project. So I'm just going to position this here, all right, just to make it look more real. I'll add a layer mask, and this should be set to black. All right, so I'll hit Ctrl T on my keyboard and I'll scale this big. All right, so I'm going to add this to every part of this project. So next is to make visible of all the layers. So I'm going to hit Ctrl Shift Alt and E. But before I do the next thing I'm about to do, I need to put everything in a group. All right. So I'm going to make a copy of this. Hide this one. Go to Filter, Blur, select Radial Blur. Okay. Add a layer mask. Hit the Ctrl I on my keyboard, and I'm just going to select the brush tool. So I'm going to do the same thing to this one by going to Filter, hold down Alt and just click on the Radial Blur option here. And this should not be too much, just a little, and I'm going to say okay. I'm just going to add a layer mask, hit the Ctrl I option again. So I'm going to go to cover just and dial this up like so, and I'll hit the Ctrl I option on my keyboard, select the brush tool, increase the size of the brush. So we are going straight to camera raw. So I'm going to hit Ctrl Shift Alt and E again to make visible of the layer, and I'll select the filter, camera raw filter. All right, so I have my text down on the I put my text down on the artwork. So I'm going to darken this part a little bit. So to do that, I'm going to select the curve adjustment, and I'm just going to push that down like so, and I'm going to select the Ctrl I on my keyboard, select the brush tool, increase the size of my brush, and I'm just going to add the darker part of that curve to this part of the project. Like so. Okay guys, I'm sure you enjoyed today's tutorial. If you have not subscribed, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and remember to ring the bell so you won't miss any of my tutorials. Okay, and peace. Yeah. Alright, so thank you guys for watching today's video. If you have not subscribed, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and remember to ring the bell so you will be notified when I post my tutorials.